Sup, boys? Do you want at least 52 free artifacts a day? How about 7,000 Mora at least? Yeah, that's 364 artifacts at least a week and 42,000 Mora for free. And you're also going to get a ton of food out of this as well. So today we're going to be talking about a daily farming guide. This is going to be something that you could do on a daily basis for whenever you want to farm out your own food. There are artifacts that are in the overworld completely free. Yes, they're 1-star, 2-star artifacts, but as they add up, they do count towards a lot of artifact experience. Hopefully with a few updates of the game that they have been talking about, we won't need this much anymore. But for now, this is probably going to be a surefire way to get a ton of artifact experience, a ton of food, and just an overall efficiency booster for your farming in general. So there's a few things that you need before you set up your own route. The first thing that I would recommend is picking a couple of different food items that you would want to be able to cook on a daily basis. For me personally, I have decided to go with Universal Peace for my main HP boosting food, and then I have my revive food. If you needed attack food on a daily basis, if you like having defense food, if you want to have stamina food on a daily basis, you can always incorporate these into your own route. But for me personally, I just do HP recovery and a revival food. So what I do is I take a look at the ingredients that I'm going to need for my specific items. So as you can see here, I have rice, which is only purchasable, so we can't actually farm that. But we do have lotus heads, carrots, and berries, all three of which are completely farmable. We also have shrimp, which unfortunately is only purchasable. You can't farm that. We have potatoes, which is also purchasable, which means we can't farm that to an extent. You can get them from random drops and things, but generally you just purchase those. And we have flour, which is processed. And if we look over here at the process, it takes wheat, which can be found in the wild, but it's typically in some special locations, and it's kind of a random thing that you even get wheat sometimes. So generally you also purchase this. This is actually the reason that I like this food so much, even though it's capped at basically 20 a day. Well, you can get 30 a day because there's two different spots to purchase shrimp meat from, but essentially you just have to purchase all of these items, which if you're short on Mora, I don't recommend that you do this. Maybe you want to farm a different piece of food, but this is just the one that I like. So once you have an idea of all of the food that you want to farm on a daily basis, jot down all of your ingredients that you're going to need. I have all of these kind of in my brain because I've been doing this for a little bit, and we're going to take this over to an interactive map. Now this part is going to be kind of cumbersome, and I hate the fact that I'm going to have to use two different maps for this. Just unfortunately, one of the maps has all of the artifact locations that we're going to be talking about today, and one of the maps is a lot better in terms of its food and where to farm its actual food at. You'll notice here that this has a ton of artifact locations set up, and it's really nice. It really is nice. There's not a whole lot of food in here. There are some pine cone locations, which is actually really nice if you end up going for the hash browns. I used to farm the hash browns for quite a while, but I stopped because of the processing time it takes to process all those ingredients. Since my items are not included in there, I actually have this map. This one is a lot cleaner in terms of UI, and it does have quite a bit of the food, but it doesn't have any of the artifact sections. I'm 99% sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it doesn't. What I recommend you do is go into this particular map. This will be, I don't know, map number 1 in the description. What you're going to do is you're going to go into this map, and you're going to take note of all of the artifact locations, and you're just going to mark them on your in-game map. Then if there are any food items that this map actually pertains to, like if you are farming pine cones on a daily basis or Julian chilies or what have you, you can use that. Or if you need to refer to this second map, which we will just in the description call map number 2 for now, you can go in and actually, grab some of the food items that you need. So I need carrots on a daily basis, so I just mark all of my carrots right here. Then what you're going to do is after you have all of your ingredients, you will notice that there are going to be way more food ingredients than there are going to be artifact locations. That is completely fine. What we're actually going to try and do is take note of the overlap between the two of them. Since there aren't any artifact locations in Mondstadt outside of maybe some on the edges of Dragonspine and stuff like that, what we're ultimately going to try and do is take all of the artifact locations and we're going to try to overlap them. This is a good one that I would like to demonstrate. So there are a couple of different artifacts that you can pick up on this little section of this so-called forest here, but I use a ton of the lotus heads here, so I need to grab as many of these as I can, plus I'm going to grab the artifacts on the way. In my particular case, I have artifacts pinned with the clover, and I have my food pinned with the little meat icon there. Just like we were talking about, you can see here that I'm going to teleport to this exact teleport, and I'm going to grab this artifact, and then I'm just going to hop down and I'm going to grab all of the lotus heads that are down in this area, and then I'm going to swim over to this particular area to grab this artifact spot here as well. And you'll notice that I have the route here that I have is intertwined with both artifacts and food. Now, there are tons of other food items that I could be getting out through here, but to boost my efficiency, I want to grab artifacts and food at the same time. And since there are food items in between these two artifact spots, I might as well go ahead and grab it, right? Now, one thing that I try to do that doesn't really translate super well is, even though there are, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 different lotus heads right here, I don't mark all of those because I know in my head the way that I'm going to be traversing through here, because I know my ultimate goal is to hit this artifact location and then come down and hit this bottom one here. I'm just going to mark a couple of these spots and just grab all of them that I can, and just on a daily basis, you're going to get more and more familiar with this, and you can literally just start to delete some of the pins on your map, because this does take up a lot of pins to begin with. Now, building on top of that concept of kind of weaving your food and your artifact spots into the same route, both map number 1 and map number 2 do a pretty good job of having all of like the character ascension materials. So if we take a look at, let's just say Child's, because he's coming up, or maybe we could even look at, well, Venti's isn't really a good thing because Venti uses Cecilia flowers and they're pretty much like out of the way compared to everything else that we've been talking about today. But let's say you're going for, I don't know, Child, and you're working on, getting his stuff pre-farmed or whatever. Here are all the star conch locations, and you'll notice that the artifacts, because artifacts are included on here, might as well just use map 1. The artifact is going to be right here, and then there are tons of star conches all around here. So if you end up finding food that is going to coincide with your character ascension materials, you can work those in as well. And this even works for all of your ore. If you're going to be doing, crystal ore farming, if you're looking for, white ore, core lapis, if you're looking for whatever you're looking for, man, you can just all intertwine it all into the same route very, very simply. Now, once you have a good idea of where everything is at, then all you have to do is sit down and plan the route itself. So once you have all of the stuff marked on your in-game map, here's personally how I tackled this part. All I did was I took all of the food items and basically made the route to coincide as close to a teleporter as I could. So I generally start my route at Cecilia Garden. I grab the carrots, the berries, there's more carrots, more berries, and then there's more carrots here. I just grab them all in one shot, one single line. I then teleport up into this teleporter. I grab these carrots, this teleporter for those carrots, this teleporter for these carrots, and these, there are some pine cones there. I'll then go to this teleporter, grab all of this stuff. Like, that's literally all it is. You just come up with a way to teleport to the closest string and then grab all of that stuff in one fell swoop. Now, you will notice that sometimes in Leeway, it is going to get pretty hectic. You'll notice that there's a ton of crap to grab right here. This is just going to be, completely up to you, whichever way you feel is faster or most comfortable to you. I personally just teleport to this one and grab all of this stuff here because I hate going to this one, hitting these two spots, and then backtracking to get all of this stuff. I just go down into this section, I come up, and then I will end on this basically, and then teleport to this, grab these two, and then run down to grab those. That's just the way that I do it. But essentially, you just want to teleport to the closest string and then grab all of that string in one fell swoop, and then move on to your next teleporter. Do remember that we have actually figured out that sprinting is way faster than gliding, even if you are running out of stamina. But if you're farming stamina food, that actually shouldn't matter. But ultimately, sprinting is faster. Don't try to glide everywhere. It's just slower in general. Now, because everyone is going to be trying to ascend different characters at different times, because not everybody's going to be at the same point in their adventure ranks to really need, certain food items and things like that. All this stuff is going to be completely and utterly subjective to the account that you are playing on, which is why I highly encourage you to not necessarily take the route that I have and translate it. I didn't want to say like, this is the route that I use and this is the route that you should be using, because I don't think that's necessarily true. It doesn't necessarily make sense for you to be farming the exact same food that I farm when I don't use like 90% of the food items in the game. I just want you to be able to translate this to your account so that you can make it work for you. Ultimately, that's all I want this to do, is work for you. Don't mind me doing this daily commission while I was farming. I did record an entire thing of my route just to kind of show like what my route is, but I've contemplated whether I even want to show you guys that. It's not even that entertaining. It's not really that informative. It's literally me running through all of the sections and hitting all of the spots that I normally go to. I will include not only map 1 and map 2 links down in the description, I will also include a link to all of the artifact locations that are basically farmable. This guy came up with like a route that worked for him, and like I said, I don't think that that's necessarily the way to do it. I took his information and I translated it to work for me. Again, that's my ultimate goal, is for you to be able to translate this for you. But that's going to be it for today. Hopefully this video was at least somewhat helpful to someone out there. Many of you probably already have the daily grind in motion, and that is 100% okay. This was really meant for people that are struggling with finding their own route and kind of doing their own thing. But anyways, see you boys.